Hello, hello, beautiful friends. I'm so glad that you are here today because today we have a lot to share about what happened last night. And I didn't have time to send an email this morning, so I'm glad that you showed up because it's worth it. I think we all noticed that last night was not a typical night. And so, I always ask my family members, how did you sleep? And of course, no one slept well last night. So, but why is it? So, very often when these things happen, people just don't sleep well. And or they have crazy dreams, or they travel out of body. And so I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. So I was looking at the ether energy, open my third eye, and it was as if the sun was shining at us. It really was. It was huge. It was just bright, beautiful light everywhere. And I wanted to show some of the pictures that I have here for you. So let's say it was like this. Here, what you see in the upper corner, it was this beautiful, beautiful, powerful light shining at us. It was so visible. The ethers were just filled with light. So I always try to come out of body because I always say, if you can travel out of body, you're just going to see more if you do it, when you go into your super conscious self. And that's something we will speak about today as well. So it was not easy. I was trying really hard. I was chanting Om into my third eye. I was laying in the right position. And it took me like maybe half an hour to even get halfway out. So for those of you who do travel out of body, and I always teach it, I say that's how you explore really what is behind all realities sometimes. Yeah. And so, it's a way to explore cosmos, really. And so I got halfway out, and that is really fun because you are kind of still stuck in the physical reality. So, you know exactly what's going on around you. So, I can always tell when my husband moves, and he was awake too. And I was like, please don't move because I want to get out. And so, because it has to be really quiet and really still for you to be able to relax. So I take it on as a scientist, in a way, as a researcher. I want to research how this all works. So as I'm like halfway out, I realized that you actually have to relax your entire nervous system to like a 0 point, where you 0 point yourself, where you no longer perceive this reality. Um, Absolutely unbelievable. So I realized the vagus nerve also has to do something with it. So I was able to relax the vagus nerve, and then bam, off I went. So I always, when I go out, I just think, oh, yes, I want to be with Divine Mother, here I come. And sometimes it doesn't work. So it didn't work last night. But I ended up in a parallel reality that is very similar to planet Earth. Really, I do believe that many parallel realities are attached to the same existential plane that we call the Earth. And so also you will find exactly the same human beings living very similar lives like we do, just slightly different. So what I have learned from all these different explorations of multidimensional realities is that actually we have so many different conditions in many different dimensions. And within dimensions, we also have parallel realities. So it's very, very actually exciting because you realize exactly what the yogis told us, the great yogi, for example, Yogananda. I actually had to do some, like, I was searching for, did they see the same thing? And of course they did. Everything is a projection. Everything is a cosmic dream. But within the cosmic dream, you have smaller dreams, and we call them realities. Now, I ended up in a parallel reality where humans speak even the same language like we do, very similar. And so I was able to talk to them because, of course, if you now enter a parallel reality, it will be like entering the earth with humans living their life. And you, even though you are a visitor from another reality, you are able to talk to them and you are able to actually learn from them, and they will be just like you. And if you tell them you're from a parallel reality, they will lock you up in a madhouse, right? So anyway, I'm in this parallel reality and I'm really exploring it. So I've visited many parallel realities with humans like us, dreaming their dreams that we now call reality. So as I was, a visitor, I was able to look at the design of this parallel reality, and I was able to speak to their sun, their solar logos. And this really just struck me. You know, Yogananda, somewhere he wrote that for him, he would not even go to the movie theater because he was able to see the projector of this reality, projecting our collective reality onto the canvas of what we call here, our reality. And so to him, it was the same thing, a projector. And so in this parallel reality, I was able to actually see the projector of their reality. And I went to that projector and it looked like a sun. It really was a source of light that was, you know, projecting collective reality within which each and every being is a projector too. So since I was a visitor, I was able to get a better view than being here. So I saw how every single being is a miniature projector as well. You know, that is the same for us here. So every single being, yes, many mansions in Father's home, that's right. So now this to me was huge because this is a revelation for humanity. It's happening through our DNA. We are realizing that we are absolutely part of the projection, but at the same time, we too are projectors. So I have this image that I worked on with our dear friend Daniel Holman years ago in 2015, when I was able to see this for the first time, but from a different perspective. I realized that every single one of us, and you heard me say this, is a star. Now, to some extent, we are also an orb. And you would actually see that each of us actually is a miniature projector of miniature realities, but we are within a collective reality. And so then we co-create. So you would say everyone living within a certain reality is all one, because we all are one then, because we all participate in co-creation of that reality. Now, the key is, of course, to realize that we are doing it, and to realize how to be within it and have fun with it instead of be, you know, trapped by it. So I was able to speak to the solar logos. That was amazing because, you know, I'm in my super conscious body, so I'm able to go even to the sun and talk to the sun. And then I realized that in our reality too, we have the solar logos projecting to us too. That's why the sun is so important and actually is transmitting source light to us and projecting a reality. Now, what happened in this world, of course, you know, you're going to call it a nightmare. Well, what happens when beings start actually projecting random realities without consciousness? They create a nightmare. And then you would say the suffering is not real, the pain is not real, but yeah, it seems so real because it's running through our central nervous system. It is actually being experienced through us as real, because we are wired actually through our nervous system to experience it all as real. Now, what do we do as mystics? We unplug from the central nervous system, and then we go into that super consciousness to see what is beyond. Now, to me, this is absolutely amazing because that I'm still, I'm super excited about this, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a revelation for humanity. You and me are projectors. So every single one of us is projecting something. And then through the power of magnetism, it is held together as a reality. But also we can go through resets. So we are going through a reset. We are remembering that we are projecting all realities within, you know, our system. And so we actually do have an amazing responsibility. And that is to stop projecting nonsense and only project higher consciousness. So then, you know, I'm hanging out in this reality, talking to all the different beings. It was really fun. And we were drinking water in their world. And to me, this was like an experiment I have not done before, you know, traveling to another reality where you actually ingest something into your superconscious body that actually you would call an elemental substance like water. And actually they called water something different. They didn't call water water. And then this is the fun thing. We did speak English, but they called water soul car, but the car was K-A-R. And so we were drinking soul car. Amazing. But, you know, to me, this is the entertaining part, but the lesson is, what is the lesson from all of this? Well, there's a big reset going on in the system, and humans will have to wake up from that dream to actually keep on dreaming, but differently, to keep dreaming in coherent state of consciousness. So I was able to visit the worlds that we would call angelic, angelic queendom. And again, when you go to these higher realms beyond parallel realities, what do you realize? All the beings that we call angels, and I would question that, it simply is beings who have harmonized themselves personally, but also as a collective. And so then they are projecting a coherent, beautiful reality onto the canvas of their reality. So you would say, oh, I went to the temple of the masters, and all the masters, where they were working with light and consciousness and color and music. It was also beautiful, but it is what we too are capable of. And that is what I now believe is why, for example, Babaji stayed behind, so that each one of us can realize that we are projectors of reality. And if we all become coherent, then there is no one so-called left behind. And everyone needs to wake up to this truth, which I also don't like the word, but let's say realization, where we all can harmonize personally, but also in our highest interest is to assist everyone around us to actually harmonize too, because we somehow agreed to be in the same reality through our frequency, through our vibration. And so if we leave someone, incoherent, since we are all participants in the same one world, we will suffer if one person is still unconscious. So we still have a mission, right? Just because you are enlightened and then 7 billion are not, we have to make it our mission to harmonize, and help everyone to harmonize whatever way they want to harmonize. It doesn't matter how you get there. And of course, the teachings of Yogananda, Kriya Yoga, for example, is what we do. We work with our central nervous system and so many different techniques that we have to do that. So how do we harmonize? Now, the thing is that Yogananda once told me too, that we all are here also doing the cleaning job. So we need to clean up the mess. So if you have children, or if you remember how it was when you were a kid, you would play in a room and you would make a mess, and then your parents would come in and say, you need to clean up, right? So this is the same thing. We are in a way in a room where we need to clean up. And we do it personally and we do it collectively. It is pretty incredible. But anyway, so this was just a big thing last night. Another way to describe this is also this. And, you see us as being tiny little projectors, and then there is a bigger projector, and you can call it our divine source for this reality. And everybody is just in stillness, but actually dreaming, collective dreaming. And you can say this is the I am, the one, the I am presence, and we all are fractals of the I am presence. You could say this is the divine self, and we all are fractals of all of this. There you go. And so we're going to be cleaning up, but also it should not take away our hope. Sometimes when people say you are in a simulation, and I'm like, oh no. Yes, we are in a kind of simulation when you think about it. But so is everyone else, everywhere else. And you can call it entertainment. You can call it even the way that I see it, because it has so many levels. You can say it's a computer game in a way. And so in this computer game, we have to have fun. But how do we have fun? Another thing that I saw, which to me was mind-blowing, is the fact that once you are in this computer game, again, whatever you want to call it, you're going to call a motion picture, then we do create attachments to it because it seems like, oh yeah, I like this, I need this, I want this. But the thing is that once we create this unconscious need or want within a game, we do have to let go completely eventually so that we can be actually lifted up. Absolutely. If we like or dislike something within a really computer game, it is not understanding the freedom that we have to play. Now, of course, cracking the code is the key. So we have those miracle makers. We have those who walk on water. How could you not walk on water if you are in a computer game and you figure out the rules? and then you are in the game, but not of the game. So this is awakening in us. I'm just remembering stuff that comes through us, like, at night when we go out of body. So, every single one of us will bring an amazing piece of this. And once again, I felt kind of discouraged when I came back into the body. I was like, oh no, it is a simulation. So what's the point? But the point is to be as coherent as you possibly can, so that you can actually be switching gears into more harmonious realities. It was very clear to me that the key is really within our own coherence, which means within our own freedom, understanding the freedom from the game and being okay being in it and yet not really of it. It is huge. And so we have freedom to be within it, but there's also this collective. Yeah. You actually, when you speak to the humans, it's like speaking to, like, let's say I live in the US, and let's like going to France and talking to the French in France and then saying goodbye and say I'm going back to the US. Similar thing. Very similar reality. So yeah. So now, I was asking this morning Divine Mother for guidance, because we're working on something here. We are working on a big liberation of humanity from actually the nightmare, in a way, because when we clean up our own projections, right, then we all start projecting beautiful coherent realities, which will be very delightful, and you can call it the new earth. That's why the new earth already exists as another existential plane to which we can go, and we can stay or come back depending on our own frequency. So the more coherent we are, and that actually means emotionally, physically, mentally, and also energetically, which we can call etherically, then the better chances we have of having real fun. Rule number one, be nice. Absolutely. And that means be nice within, be nice to yourself with your thoughts, and so on and so on. So then I always question all the teachings we had in the last, thousands of years. Weren't they just telling us how to behave nicely within a dream world? And then what it means about things like forgiveness. How could we not forgive someone within this dream world as well? Because we need to be liberating. And the only way to do it, of course, is to be empty and all love. Absolutely. So now, let's see where this takes us. So in 2015, I had my first revelation like this, which was really incredible. And I saw how every single one of us actually is a being of light. So we all are, absolutely, because we all are actually transmitters of realities. And the only way to create them is actually through light. And light can become distortion. And then we call it darkness in a way, like evil, but it's all a distortion of light. And so our original blueprint is to take in light, make more light, take in light, make more light. So we are, in a way, using divine light love to make something beautiful. And again, this is what is coming to us. And so, I went to my dear friend Daniel and I said, please just sit down with me and let's create it. I want to show you what I saw. So this is what we came up with: divine source emanating light. And then we all catch it in a way, because that's our nature, and then we will project something out of it. So that also, we have to look at that thing that we call death, right? So absolutely, how could there be anything like that? So humanity will have to remember that we have also the incredible ability, number one, to leave the body at, really, when you learn how to, it's a muscle. To me, it's a muscle, and I'm practicing the muscle every night. It doesn't always work. So, practice. But then being able to see outside of these realities. So I really enjoy cleaning the house. And so as I was cleaning this morning, I get to listen to some Gaia TV. And this is what I came across, which I think might be interesting. It's 7 minutes on Gaia TV. And this is a show with Freddie Silva. So Freddie Silva, if you have seen some shows with him, he's really fun, and he has done a lot of research into, ancient realities, ancient civilizations. And I love that he's presenting this show with a glass of wine. So throughout the show, you see how his wine disappears and reappears, fills up and empties. So I love it. He's capable of presenting. So this will be 7 minutes about out of body travel, if that's okay with you, how it gives us access to these really realities that are not as distorted as this one. And so you would call it truth, but it also is not really truth. You simply are going into a reality where the beings collectively have co-created something so beautiful. You can even call it paradise. So that's just what will be fun to share. And then we'll go into meditation. So you will find this on Gaia TV. And this starts with Adam and Eve, and we'll just watch like 5 or 7 minutes. I don't know exactly.
Belly, pregnant with the sum of all information placed there by the gods. So in metaphysical terms, this paradise illustrates an environment or dimension where one is able to access knowledge at its purest level. A talking serpent should raise anybody's suspicion. And indeed, it is the key to understanding the story of paradise. The serpent was in fact a woman, and her name was Tabayet. She was the wife of a god-man called Enki. And they belonged to a group of sages, keepers of knowledge. And since they understood and controlled the laws of nature, they became associated with the rhythm and flow of earth energy, which flows like an invisible serpent, and hence their given title, People of the Serpent. Ultimately, the story of Adama and Heva in paradise describes the self-empowerment of the individual through the understanding of the laws of nature, much more so than a tale of chastisement and sin. So far, it appears that interacting with a state or place called paradise enables access to specialized information, spiritual truths, even the understanding of celestial mechanics. Perhaps more, because thousands of years after this Sumerian account, the stories and rituals associated with accessing a state of bliss finally reached the ancient Greeks. After their personal involvement in the mystery schools, scholars such as Pythagoras and Plato provided insights into what was taking place, how direct contact with this other world involved an induced near-death experience inside a secret chamber or a box or a cave, followed by an uncomfortable return back into the physical world. And they describe returning empowered, convinced of the soul's immortality, even facing the prospect of physical death without any fear, because, they said, we already experience paradise and are therefore free. However, they weren't free to talk about the actual experience because every candidate undertook a vow of silence. And in Greece it was forbidden by law to discuss the experience in public. But they unanimously alluded to how the experience opened their eyes to the mechanics of the universe and to the true nature of the soul. One rare account comes from Plato himself, who describes his experience via a fictional character in his book, Phaedro, in order not to betray his vow. He says, "Those who are initiated into the great mysteries perceive a wondrous light. Purer regions are reached, and divine visions inspire a holy awe. Then the man, perfected and initiated, free and able to move superphysically without constraint, celebrates the mysterious. He sees on earth the many who have not been initiated and purified, buried in the darkness, and through fear of death, clinging to their ills for want of belief in the happiness of the beyond. We beheld the beautiful visions and were initiated into the mystery which may be truly called blessed. Beyond the world of gods lies a reality with which true knowledge is concerned, a reality without color or shape, intangible but utterly real.
And so this is exactly, I guess, what I was trying to create here and here, that beyond all of it is actually no reality. And this to me was the most shocking, that realizing when you go to the source itself, there is no temples, there is no, worlds. You go beyond. You go just into that nothingness of everythingness, and nothing has a form yet. It is almost like going into the, Brahma. It's like there is no duality, but there's also no non-duality. It is just one kind of consciousness, and that's it. So, that's what we are doing here today. So this is very exciting. It is the absolute. Thank you, Asha. Absolutely, that's it. And so we need to know that the possibilities are infinite, but that the goal is, of course, to get out of lower incoherent worlds and step into, with our frequencies, into coherence, so that we have access to beautiful worlds. It doesn't matter that it's a world of the angels. It still is kind of not real, but it's okay. At least those guys figured it out. And so when you go to higher dimensions, yeah, they hire because those guys figured out how to be coherent within themselves and with each other. So kind of amazing. So I asked Divine Mother, so what do we do now? How do we work with this? And she said, work with accelerating your evolution. And so we're going to accelerate our evolution. And for those of you who do not like working with your chakras, there will be a little bit of the chakra work. It's okay. We are an energy system, we are plugged into a certain world, certain way, but we will just bring in the light. And when we bring in the light, we will go to a higher frequency, which is a higher dimensional world where beings figured it out. They are more coherent. And so we will visit with them. And so I have to see which one it is. Oh, wonderful. If you have it, please work with it, because that's going to take you to these places. I owe all my self-realizations and realizations to these albums. So it just takes you to, better places all the time. And so this one will be awakening. I have to look into my phone. I took a note of which one she said. So just a moment. Okay, the second one, absorbing divine essence. So it's part of our process that we are doing from the new moon to full moon. And that means we are actually bringing spirit into matter, and we are liberating ourselves from matter, which was attaching us to this world. And so that's why we're going higher into higher worlds. So this is 25 minutes. So I think that the mystics within us are excited to do this work, which makes so much sense, given the revelations of really last night given to humanity, to activate the highest potential within us, of course, so that we can start resonating with these higher realms. Absolutely exciting. I can't wait to do this again. And I always say, we've done this maybe hundreds of times, but it always is taking us to the next level. Now the next level. Why is the next level allowed now in this lifetime? So I have two things that I haven't shared about last night. So as I was able to communicate with the solar logos in another reality, I was able to see how every single one of us actually carries the light within. Even if the person is what we call the bad apple, they still carry the light within. And so it is as if and this is what I was told, everyone carried what we call Christ consciousness within, and in a way, it is the solar light. So everyone is a miniature solar light. That's why, you know, we all look like orbs, and that's why we all look like these stars, and that's why we all have this. So that all made sense to me. It is really, truly, again, you know, like if you've listened to Oren a lot, Oren always says, you already are enlightened, you just haven't realized it. Well, of course, you already are the orb of light. And it is free will, unfortunately, but also maybe fortunately, to still distort the light when it comes through us. So let us stop distorting the light and see what happens is, you know, the recipe. And then I was able to meet Mahamaya. Now, that's the only way I can describe her. Really, you know, we always talk about kind of the mother, the mother of light, but also there is the mother of the illusion, Mahamaya. And that's what I understood her to be. And in this world, she was creating kind of the sabotaging force, not evil, not dark, but as if you took matter and antimatter. And so I was told by her that this is the end of the Mahamaya. Now, again, you know, we'll have to unpack what it all means. But what I saw is that this world was uneasy before, and that Mahamaya was sabotaging us in one way. But the Mahamaya will stop doing that. To me, that's huge, you know, as a disciple, not only of Yogananda, but also of Sri Kaleshwar, who knew her so well. He didn't even want to have a thought about anything because he said, if I have a thought about something I want to do, she will sabotage me. So I never understood what he meant until last night when I saw her. So huge. So, you know, I always say in these higher realms, when they tell you it's going to happen tomorrow, then it probably means in a very long time. Because I always say, you know, when they tell you it's next, then in our human terms, it probably means months, if not even years, but that's okay. It's okay. It's happening in this lifetime, and that's really important. So anyway, just to review a little bit what I recommend practicing so that you are able to go into these different realms, you know, like what Freddy Silva was speaking about, that when we go out of these realms into these different realms, then we have a better perspective. And so you saw the imagery of like the people who still fear death and who have fear. But if you go outside, you get the bigger picture. So when you come back, you no longer have the same fears, and you no longer have the same thinking about what reality is and what reality isn't. And so I do recommend practicing liberation of your own self, and that is through fearlessness, realizing you are within something that you can call many different names, whichever you prefer. If you like the word simulation, if you like the motion picture, if you like the novel, if you like the dream, if you like the computer game, whatever it is, we are in it. And, you know, I also have traveled through all the different layers of all of it, really. I think, I don't know, maybe not at all, but I went through those 11 dimensions and I was able to look into the 12. And I saw that there is one thing which all of these worlds have in common. And to me, it was revealed to be truth. And that truth was nature. And so when we are in these many dream realities and it gets very confusing, nature will always take us back into her arms, and she will guide us into source itself. So to me, you know, it can be so overwhelming. So many realities, so many conditions, so many dreams, so many holograms, but nature is green everywhere. Absolutely. She becomes multidimensional herself too. So when you go to higher dimensions, they have more and more and more and more nature until the 12th dimension is just pure nature. No one is there because everyone becomes one with all. No one is in a body. The last dimension where I saw people in a body or beings in a body was the 11th dimension. But to me, this is so like, you know, it is giving us guidance. And one more thing that I will share before we go also, you know, I always try to decode it all. And you are here decoding with me and I'm decoding with you. We all bring the bits and pieces and we put those puzzle pieces together. And so we want to make sense of it, right? So that it's meaningful. And to me, the meaning is actually our connection to that source through nature. beyond all the games, beyond all the dreams, beyond all the realities, but accepting our role within it, which is to be the best version we can be, always connected to this amazingness. The last dimension where I saw myself as a being was 11th, and in the 12th, we all merge into oneness. The big tree of life, just like you see actually here in the picture, but we all merge into it. We let go of all forms. We become formless one. So, you know, if this helps to live a better life, then that's how it is useful. If it gives us optimism, not to believe the dream so much, to be in it, but also to master it and to be above it, to be the one who walks on water, because why not? Maybe to be the one who turns water into wine, why not? Because that all is possible. It is almost unlimited, depending on which dimension we are in, but it becomes more and more and more unlimited. So our journey continues, of course. And once again, if you practice, you know, to me, practice gives us amazing opportunities. And that means liberating the nervous system, opening the third eye, and just letting go of attachments. Those are also important. So thank you so much for being here today. I will repeat at 5 p.m. And for those of you who come tomorrow, it's going to be the same time, same place, same Zoom. So thank you so much.